They're suing me for something I didn't do. It's just the most annoying. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money. Those words from Jake Paul only hint at the chaos swirling around what was supposed to be the fight of the year. Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis cancelled. Or rather, Jake cancelled. And now he's facing a lawsuit that threatens both his wallet and his reputation. What started as a dream matchup, Jake Paul, the brash YouTuber turned boxer, versus one of the most feared punchers alive, has spiraled into one of the ugliest, most humiliating sagas in modern boxing. The fight was scheduled for November 14th in Miami, a city ready to host a clash between spectacle and skill. Netflix was backing it. Millions of fans were anticipating a night where hype, entertainment, and legitimate boxing collided. Posters were printed. Cameras were rolling. Contracts were signed. And then, suddenly, it vanished. Jake Paul took to social media, delivering a narrative that sounded heroic. One of the most feared punchers in boxing, with a 93% knockout rate, was suddenly a moral hazard. According to Jake, he could not, in good conscience, give Tank a platform. He claimed Netflix had pulled the plug. He framed himself as a champion of women, walking away from evil. For a fleeting moment it worked. The PR machine spun a story of courage, principle, and moral high ground. But the applause didn't last. Whispers grew louder with each passing hour. Promoters, insiders, and fans began questioning the story. Tank Davis's team quickly corrected the record. Netflix did not cancel the fight. The bout was still on. Jake had pulled out. That single, blunt statement unraveled the carefully constructed narrative. What was spun as morality wasn't principle. It was fear. The moral crusade collapsed. Weight rumors followed. The contract mandated a fight weight of 195 pounds. Sources claimed Jake wasn't remotely close. Sluggish, drained, and out of shape, the man who built his brand on bravado suddenly looked exposed. Meanwhile, Tank Davis, lean, sharp, and precise, was preparing to deliver one of the most feared punches in boxing today. The reality was brutal. If the fight had proceeded, Jake Paul might have been walking straight into a knockout. Fans began asking the obvious questions. If this was truly about morals, why had Jake fought Mike Tyson, a man with a criminal past? Why Mike Perry, with multiple allegations against him? Why, in this instance, was Tank suddenly the line in the sand? Standing up for women was the PR shield. Fear had driven the narrative, dressed up as virtue. The smokescreen was pierced, and the reality was simple. The bravado hadn't matched the risk. As the fallout intensified, Gervonta Davis's team filed a lawsuit for defamation and breach of contract. They argued that Jake's public statements caused serious reputational and financial damage. Netflix, according to the complaint, never cancelled. Jake had lied, misrepresented facts, and effectively sabotaged the fight ecosystem. Fight purses, promotional campaigns, and undercard arrangements. This wasn't just embarrassment. It was potential liability in the millions. Boxing analysts were quick to weigh in. Ego, a respected commentator, noted, "Boxing isn't about saints. It's about survivors. Legends don't emerge from virtue. They emerge from grit, chaos, and conflict." And with Jake, the moral positioning failed to align with the reality of the sport. The courtroom, unlike the ring or social media, doesn't care about spin. Facts, contracts, and evidence matter far more than followers or hype. Jake's history compounded the skepticism. He fought Mike Tyson, Mike Perry, and others with controversial pasts. Claiming moral high ground against Tank Davis looked, to insiders and fans, like a poorly executed PR stunt. Screenshots and prior interviews suggested he was panicked, searching for a way out of a fight he hadn't fully prepared for. The moral justification didn't hold. The lawsuit itself paints a stark picture. Jake is accused not just of backing out, but of publicly defaming Tank while implying Netflix forced the cancellation. The financial impact extends beyond Jake's own earnings. Sponsorships, fight purses, and promotional rights were jeopardized. Tank's lawyers argue that Jake detonated an entire business ecosystem to protect his ego and avoid accountability. In public, Jake claimed he refused to platform an abuser. He framed himself as defending women. But insiders, including Tank's coach Kenny Ellis, made it clear. Jake's decision was motivated by fear of facing a legitimate world-class knockout artist. The championing women narrative was a smokescreen, a PR tactic masquerading as morality. Screenshots, promotional materials, and contractual evidence suggest panic, not principle. Fans and analysts dissected the story relentlessly. Social media, once Jake's greatest tool, now amplified every inconsistency. Was the act really about morals, or was it about self-preservation? The weight discrepancy, the fight readiness, and the timing of the cancellation all suggested the latter. Jake's brand, built on fearless bravado, suddenly seemed hollow under scrutiny. The PR narrative that initially portrayed Jake as heroic backfired. Each statement intended to save face became evidence of improvised moral storytelling. Fear disguised as principle is fragile. And the arena he now faces isn't a ring in Miami. It's a courtroom where facts, not followers, determine outcomes. If the court sides with Tank's team, the damages could be enormous. Millions in financial loss, reputational harm, and contractual penalties loom large. The narrative of courage is stripped bare. The bravado that built Jake Paul's empire cannot withstand legal scrutiny. The fight, once a spectacle, becomes a cautionary tale. Fear cannot masquerade as virtue when money, contracts, and reputations are on the line. This saga underscores a larger truth about boxing and accountability. The sport